All right, so today's conversation is a little different than other conversations, and it's been a long time coming. I'm not even going to go through his bio because Evan is quite well known, and truly, it's not the way we started. This conversation actually started virtually as I was on my own Sparkle renewal journey, working on my strategic plan and looking for some guidance on, what was going to be my next alignment as I work with leaders in a parallel way to what Evan does. And this guy kept coming up on my feed over and over, and it just started to resonate. He got my attention because he was truthful, he was straightforward, no fluff. And I thought, oh, no fluff, how refreshing online. And so I had my team look into him, and they said, you know what, the guy's got 4.5 million followers. I said, he might be too big for me. No, no, he works with people like us. I said, all right. And then they said the clinching word to me, Evan. They said, and he's from Toronto. Now, those
Let's
of you who
go.
don't know, that's like up the road in Canada, right? So I'm right there. The trust level went double. And so then we reached out and we said, okay, let's take a look. This guy's Sparkle revs at an even higher level than you do, Stephanie. Like, this is amazing. He's like the male version of you. I said, oh, he's much more than that. I said Forbes has recognized him, and he's the thought leader in the whole Believe movement in supporting entrepreneurs. And that's where the conversation kind of began through the support of Evan. And so today's conversation, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here and finally have a chance to have a little talk together. I want to take it behind the scenes. Sparkle Loud wants to know a bit more about how it works when your sparkle starts to wane. You've had so many accomplishments, Evan, in your career. After a while, and people have a hard time understanding this, is what we talk about often here, is it gets to be a bit tedious to be successful. And I know that sounds egotistical, but there's a boredom to success that can kick in when you keep attaining goal after goal after goal. And so, to talk to us a little bit about what keeps your sparkle going when you've achieved so much already in your career.
So first, I mean, thanks for having me. This is great. You said so much in there that I want to react to. Sparkle Revs is great. I haven't thought about how my Sparkle Revs, so that's a new seed that you planted, which is exciting. Um, I think of it as how do you keep your sparkle from dying? I think there's a macro version and a micro version of it. In the small day to day, it's easy to wake up and not have your sparkle there and be ready to
Mhm.
go and like take on the day. And the most important thing on the day to day for me is just I do my believe walk every day. I wake up, go outside, like just get outside to start with. Walk for at least 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be a run. It can be. You can make it harder if you want, but like just walk for 15 minutes and put something in your ear that helps you believe in yourself more. So I usually have a story of a famous entrepreneur, and I come home with Sparkle Level 1000, ready to get on with the day. That's in the kind of day to day. On a longer timeline, though, I think the most important thing is that you actually deeply love the process of the thing that you're doing. Because when you talk about achievement of goal after goal after goal, the goal itself is not. I don't get tired of it because the goal of achievement is not the goal. I like the work, like I like the doing.
And that's the part of Sparkle that people want to hear. And sometimes they miss it when you're sharing a message and whatnot, and people are gleaming what they need from your messaging. It's not about the pinnacle. It's not about the top of Mount Everest. It's about the plan, the journey, and all of it that goes with it that's fulfilling. And it's hard to put words around it. I love the way you just put words around
Great. Well, I don't know what I said, so that's awesome. You should clip
that.
that. uh,
You
but
said it's not just about the goal. It's
no,
about everything that goes into that goal,
yeah,
right?
it's the
It's
actual
not
work.
not
I
the
mean,
end result.
I've been making YouTube videos since 2009. There's 8,000 public videos on my channel. There's another couple thousand unlisted videos.
Mm.
I don't know how many interviews I've done, podcasts I've done, guest appearances, yada, yada, yada. Uh, how often can you talk about belief? Like you think by now, 10,000 videos, whatever later, I kind of would have said everything that I wanted to say. I just, I don't know. I like it. It's like it, I look forward to video day. I feel the work matters. It's having an impact. People count on it. I think the key is just the connection to service, feeling like what you're doing matters to somebody else. Humans are built to serve. I wrote a book called Built to Serve. I think humans are built to serve. If you're not serving, you're not happy. And a lot of people who make content, there's a lot of people now talking about they're burning out. It's like, okay, you've done content for 6 months and you're burning out. Well, why? Well, often because you're chasing trends and you're trying to do things that you don't like. So, for
Or that aren't
example,
authentic you. Like, and I think the longer leadership goes on in yourself or with others, the no frills part of what I liked when I first saw you is the authentic part. And I think people are seeking authentic online right now.
it definitely helps. It's not the only way. I was always cautious about like this is the way to win because there's lots of ways to win. Because there's
Hmm.
people who win without they win off of the flash and pizzazz and um end up hating their life, but you can win that way. It's just not my preferred style. So, for example, like I do entrepreneur breakdowns, right? Here's where you can learn from whoever, Warren Buffett. If I made entrepreneur teardowns instead of breakdowns, if I said, here are the ten reasons why you should hate Warren Buffett, I'm sure
Hmm.
I could find 10 things. Like I'm sure for any of these people, there's lots of bad things that they've done or thought about or personality traits that aren't admirable. And honestly, people love negativity more than positivity. So those videos would do even better than
Hmm.
my positive ones. But I would burn out really quickly from doing it because it eats my soul.
Yeah.
And so how do I stay so consistent? Well, it's easy to stay consistent on something that you like doing. So like this call in our calendars, right? This joint call in our calendars. People ask me about work-life balance. Like, well, what does that mean? Because for me, it's just all life. So when I see Stephanie here in my calendar, I don't think, oh, that's work. I'm gonna have an awesome conversation with Stephanie. It's life. It's fun. And I guess as long as you see, if you see what you're doing as work and work in like a derogatory way, like, oh, okay, I gotta get this. As soon as you're doing too much of that stuff, you're never gonna win.
Yeah.
You won't have longevity. Maybe you can win in the short run, but you'll burn out pretty quickly. You won't get your sparkle revving. I love that.
And when the sparkle starts to dim, that's exactly what I see with leaders, is that that starts to become like a divot, a divide in their lives where they're compartmentalizing who they are. Has there been a time for you where the sparkle on screen didn't match the sparkle in your personal life? And how did you navigate that? It comes across challenging. It can be challenging with your partners. It can be challenging with your family, your kids. I know I faced it for sure. Because, like you said, life is never balanced. It's just one thread that continues, right?
For me, it's mostly a ton of micro adjustments instead of once a year or every 5 years, like big adjustments.
Mm,
So I don't, there's like the who we're supposed to be to ourselves, not to other people,
yeah,
like who we're supposed
exactly.
to be and then like who we are, right? And it's
Hmm.
like the more that those are divergent, the less happy you are.
Yeah.
Um, and so as soon as I feel something is off, I just course correct. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you stop doing those videos? I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like if I stopped enjoying podcasts, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't do like, okay, it might, but it makes a lot of sense. It's a, but yeah, but I don't want to do it. So
And it's
I,
okay because depending on where those journeys you're on, both personal, public, and whatever, particularly in a public life such as yourself, or anyone who does work in those type of realms, it's challenging and things do evolve, and you may not do them forever and ever and ever. They're right now because they serve a purpose for you and for those who are listening, right?
yeah, actually, here's one. So I'm trying to think of examples. I'm also pretty bad at looking backwards, because it's all just now and a little bit future. But I remember I had Tony Robbins on the channel and he'd been on 4 times or something on the channel. And he invited me to go to one of his events. I forget the 2 day or 3 day event where you walk on fire. Have you heard of that one? Have you been to
Hmm.
that one?
Hmm.
Okay, so he puts me in a special seating at the front. It's called CIS. It's chairman invited seating. You're basically right up front. And then when you go to the fire walk, he's the one who's like yelling at you to go across the coals. And when we got to that point, I left. I went back to my Airbnb, not out of disrespect for Tony, but out of what I actually got. Because the point of the firewalk is to show that you can do something difficult and scary, right? Like that. what skill does walking across hot coals give you for life? It's more that like you did something you didn't think you can do. And I realized that I had the real firewalk for me was letting go of some commitments that I had been making to others in groups that I was still a part of that I probably should have been out of like at least a year ago. And I have
Yeah.
a hard time saying no to people, and I have a hard time once I'm in something to leave it, and I feel this guilt and this burden. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know.
It's the
Uh,
other side of servitude, though. It is the side of servitude. Good leaders often feel that guilt, and it's a balancing act.
Yeah, there's some groups that I was a part of that really I shouldn't be anymore. It wasn't serving me as much, and I should be doing other things with my time. And that's what I went home. I did not do the firewalk, and I went home and basically sent off a whole bunch of emails and left 3 to 4 different commitments that I was involved in. Um, some immediately, and others I kind of created an exit plan for, so didn't need my involvement anymore. And that was really hard.
Yeah.
Feel like I was leaving a part of me behind, but was kind of needed to shed the skin to continue to move forward.
And
Um,
that's what the spark is, right? The spark kind of can dim and it can go bright like a firework, and then it can sometimes hover low. When it starts getting too low, I like your term micro adjustment. What micro adjustments are you going to make, or macro? In this case, you made some big decisions to change things, right? To keep them going. And I think leaders struggle with that micro adjustment. They often will keep going, keep going, keep going, and then it leads to burnout or to a sense of failure. And then they just give up, particularly those starting businesses or whatnot. We often talk about these things with them. So understanding that, success and what it looks like when it's 4.5 million followers and being acknowledged all over the place, there were micro adjustments and major adjustments that were probably made in your sparkle throughout the way. So thank you for sharing that one. I think just walking out of the room on Tony Robbins was a huge micro adjustment, and that was your
uh,
firewalk. Being able to have the courage to do that.
yeah, I mean, I don't think Tony noticed or cared or was like, and it's
No,
fine.
but
He's
you
got a
did.
stadium full of people, and it's a cool opportunity. But it's like I knew what I had to do,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I think getting faster at it. Like, why don't we do it? Well, it's usually either out of guilt, because you don't want to let other people down,
Yeah.
or it could be out of ego. Like, why don't you quit on things? It's great to have persistence, but also there are things that you should quit on so you can go do something better.
Yeah, because
Um,
the other part is there's only so much of that energy to go around, and it ebbs and flows all the time at different phases of your life. I know for me as a woman, for sure, my energy in my 40s is not the same as it is now in my 50s, right? And hence the reason for Sparkle Loud, finding what still sparkles, because it gets a narrower and narrower focus as I go on in my career of what has me sparkling and wanting to sparkle.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've done a lot of, I've done a lot of podcasts. They bring me on for all sorts of different things, and I've been on a bunch of health podcasts. And a common question I'll get asked there was like, "What's your number one health hack?" Because they have people come on and talk about sleep and diet and Oura ring and drink 8 glasses of water a day and all the health hacks. I said, like, you know what? The number one health hack for me is love what you do.
Yeah.
Because
Number
if
one.
you love what you do, I think you'll be a lot healthier and happier, which then bleeds into everything else. But if you hate what you do, it's really hard to sleep. It's really hard to eat well. It's really hard. Like, why do we stress eat? Well, because we don't, there's problems in our lives with the things that we're doing. We hate our boss. We hate our clients. We hate like whatever. And you're just always stressed out. Um, so I
I
think
just
I don't know if you have any kind of test or protocol that you can make it systematic. But for me, anytime something doesn't feel right, I'll almost always just stop. Again, doesn't make sense. I don't even know how to like my team's like, why did you stop doing that? Like it was working, it was making money, or we're like, we just did all these things, now you're gonna
didn't
drop it.
feel right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, and they just got used to it. And then eventually I can go back and explain it, but it's a more of an emotional thing and not a logical thing.
Mm.
Um,
It's
and
experience
so
too. I think it's experience. Like it's not just the emotional, it's the experience behind those emotions of knowing, when to question it.
fair. Right,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
100%. And it's just like I think your, whether you want to call it gut or intuition, operates faster than your brain can keep up. And so
Yeah.
you already know you should be out, but you don't know how to logically justify it. So your brain has to catch up to it. And I just try to not let my brain get in the way. and just
That
do it.
is great advice for every entrepreneur, every leader out there. Put your brain on a shelf. I love it. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, so you made me think of it. I've just finished a few weeks ago, my book called Find Your Flower Shop. And
Okay.
it's not about a flower shop. It's about finding your passion, and your flower shop may change as you go on. So it takes you through my journey of buying a flower shop as one of my, I used to call it a hobby business, but I've really corrected that language because no business is a hobby. Every business is work. And it's finding that passion and trying to explain to people that voice that you're talking about, of following your voice. And even when sometimes the voices around you aren't echoing in the same language as you. And knowing that that's where you're meant to serve next or go next is a huge strength. Talk a little bit about when you kind of went against the flow of your team, people you trust, those around you, whoever those who inspire you and guide you, or were there times in your career where you just trudged ahead, finding your own flower shop and not maybe following what other people thought?
I'm trying to think if I've like gone against the flow of my team.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
tough one. It's a tough one when you do. And you may not have, not everybody does, right? Depending how you're structured for those things. But where maybe your gut knew that this was the next place to go. A little bit of what you just said, where they said, like, hey, why are you stopping? When they would have kept going.
so when I'm working with somebody for the first time, I see it as a dance.
Hmm.
And I love to trust the artistry of the person that I'm working with.
Hmm.
So even in this, like you're an artist, you have your show, you have your structure, you have your format, you have your questions, your line of thinking, your energy. I love trying to play in that and see how I can add to the music instead of going to a different room.
I love the metaphor.
And that's not always possible, but it's like you're I'm coming in your room and you're playing like the bongos or something, so I'm gonna come in and like pick up some maracas and like try to catch your beat and let's make some music together.
Evan, I'm Slovenian. We're polkaing if we're doing
Okay,
anything.
well there you go. I'm Italian, so we have our tarantella, which is basically just a fast polka. But that's it. It's like a dance required. Like you can't polka by yourself. I mean, I guess you can do the line dancing, but
After many, many glasses of wine only.
exactly. But like it's a partner dance and there's a lead follow and there's a I just see whoever I'm working with as a co-creator in art and music, and I'm trying to figure out how can we dance together, and that's usually the biggest not struggle or hurdle, but just like fun play. And some people you can, and some people you can't catch up to their beat, like they're just doing something that you don't understand, and you don't like their music. Okay, great. So like you go somewhere else.
Yeah. And the
So
relationship fit isn't right. We often talk about relationship with our team, like it just doesn't feel quite right. Like you're stepping on each other's toes in some ways, right?
yeah, I think so. I guess why I tell that story is because I don't usually get people who are core team members who I can't dance with.
Mm.
So like you have a dance. So I'm a salsa dancer. I own the largest salsa school in Canada, maybe North America. It's how I met my wife, salsa dancing. And when you first dance with somebody, you if I'm dancing with another woman, you go through beginner steps and then you work your way up to see like where's the level and can we dance together or not. And so I love my favorite thing to do when working with some new person is to work on a project. Like I don't care about resumes and interview skills. Like
Yeah.
let's work on something and see what we can create. And the
Yeah.
ones where it's like fun and fast and they ask good questions and it flows, I usually hire them and we keep working together. And the ones where it's difficult or challenging or they just don't understand the instructions or whatever, um, it doesn't mean anything's wrong with them. It's just not a fit with us. And so it's very rare that I fight with team because by the time they've gotten there, we've already done a whole bunch of dances together and there's a mutual understanding. Um, Even just a respect for the differences. So we just came back from our YouTube mastermind in Arizona. We do this 4 times a year. And I had dinner with Nick, who does a lot of our marketing. And Nick is awesome. And Nick helps be the logical one in the relationship. Like he operationalizes a lot of things and he has to think about how to make something happen and the reasons why it won't happen. And uh, that kind of safety net person is awesome for someone like me. And I know that when he's when he's pitching an idea or he's thinking about my ideas, his job is to like plug the holes, right? And
Yeah.
like make it happen. Because if I'm doing it, I'm off flying this plane with like holes everywhere, right? Okay, we need infrastructure, guys. We need engineering. We need to fix this plane. Um, and so, especially on a new idea, when we first come up with a new idea, we'll come at it from completely different perspectives because he's seen it through his lens and I'm seeing it through mine. And I appreciate the difference in perspective because it makes the idea better. So it's not even like a fight or a, why don't you understand me or whatever. It's like, okay, I actually need to get Nick's opinion on this because he's going to make this, he's going to see things that I don't see. But we're both trying to make something better.
Yeah.
And that's
And
like, that's
sometimes
the,
that sparkle leads to sparks because you will butt heads. And I think that's the thing sometimes when people start off in entrepreneurship or when they move from staff to leaders, depending who your base is that you work with, they're looking for what's familiar, but what's familiar is not always the sparkle that's going to move the needle at this point, right? It has to be people who complete the team, people who are better at things than I am. Exactly like you just said. You need to find your Nick there. There's another title for a book for you. Find your Nick.
yeah. Well, I have my, I say often everyone needs a Nina because Nina's my wife, and there's so
Yeah.
many things that she, the number of times in a day that I say that's a Nina question because I have no idea how to answer that. I mean, it's another one. Like Nina is so process driven,
Yeah.
uh, and I have a really hard. I can create process from scratch, but I have a really hard time jumping into somebody else's process without knowing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
You
if
need the
you,
big picture.
I
Yeah.
need to know how the whole process works
Mhm.
because if you ask me this, like step seven, how if I don't know how it connects to everything else, I don't know how to answer that question. They'd be like, I don't know, be a good person, use your best judgment. It's like trust you, go, uh,
And I
or we
think
have to deep
all of
dive.
these things are so important for everybody to understand who's on these journeys because it's all of this that makes it work. It's all of this that leads to what they may see on screen or when they see us presenting or performing or producing or whatever else. It's all the pieces of the people around us, our strengths, being very conscious and self-aware of those things too, that they're not weaknesses. When we start out in our 20s, we see them as weaknesses. It's often very black and white, I felt when I was younger. And then it starts to become this gray area. And you start to say, okay, well, this part of gray is not my strength, and I can give this up. And giving it up is a strength. And I think that's a big part of what attracted me to what you were doing when I say the no frills.
Mm.
Like, this is what it really looks like. Not all of this is earth shattering. This is common sense. It's when you piece it together in the way that you do that I know has inspired me at this phase in my career after 33 years. It takes a lot to inspire me, Evan. Like my team says, this guy must be a miracle worker if you're impressed, Stephanie. It takes a lot after a few years to be inspired and to get someone to get your sparkle going in a direction. So I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Like I know you've probably heard this 4.5 million times from everyone who follows you, but truthfully and honestly, and the ripple that creates of understanding these pieces in leadership.
Well, and credit to you for seeking help.
Mm,
Like from me or whoever. A lot of people, um, they might get stuck in a rut and then just say, okay, well, that's it. That's like I'm done. That's guess that's the rest of my life, and then it's
yeah,
Groundhog Day every day. And for you to say, um, no, I want to find my sparkle again, and I can, and I will, and I'm not going to do it by myself. Uh,
exactly.
which then led you down a path, which then led to us, but it could lead to lots of other places. And so I
Yeah.
think that like the courage to try and the courage to believe um,
And
is
to
an
know you can't
inspiration.
do it all yourself, like it seems very easy, right? Start a podcast. Everyone's doing it. I don't have time to figure this stuff out. I am not a process person, so I cannot jump into that seventh level process either. And then it was like, who's going to do it? None of my team was a process person for this particular part of the sparkle that I wanted to go into. And then just finding you was just serendipitous, honestly, serendipitous for me.
Yeah, so like again, kudos to you because a lot of people that's where they stop. They're like, okay, I can't do this, I can't figure it out, um, and then I will never figure it out. It's like, no, of course you can, and there's someone who can help you, and you don't have to do it alone. Um, there's a great quote about you're talking about like journey destination. I saw a podcast I listened to, and um, I try to answer questions when I listen to them. Like if I listen to a podcast or like I'm watching a video of an interview, somebody asks a question, I just by default I think, how would I answer that question? And there
Okay.
was one where the guy asked, "Is it the journey or the destination?" It's like, oh, okay, that's a stupid question, right? Like, how many times? Of course, it's the journey, not the destination. But the guy said neither. Like, what do you mean
Hmm.
neither? Okay. He said it's the company you keep along the way. I was
Uh,
like, I actually really like that. It's not only about the journey you're on, but like who you're journeying with is
yeah.
the thing. Um, and so, the fact that you were then willing to go and research and look up and um, trust somebody, maybe after being burned, et cetera, to believe that it's not too late, uh, is awesome. And I think it not only just for you, but just that story then inspires somebody else because there's somebody else listening who said that's
Yeah.
me. And maybe they don't want to start a podcast, but they want to start their business or write their book or
And have the courage. I guess if anyone's watching us interact now, like we're not best friends, we've just gotten to know each other. We're practically on our first date here. And I said to myself, like, who's this guy, with all this big following? And don't let yourself be intimidated. Relationships are forged in every conversation on that journey. And I think the next conversation is always the one that kind of inspires you to the next and to the next. So I thank you so much for being on Sparkle Loud's journey and on my journey with me, and taking the time in your very, very busy schedule to meet with us, and to share a little of the behind the scenes of what it looks like when the sparkle comes, goes, and what keeps it kind of flaring loud so that others can join and catch a bit of the spark in their own journeys. Thank you so, so much, Evan, for today.
I love it. Well, time flies when you're having fun. So time flies when you're sparkling. So we must have been doing something right today. Thanks for having me, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.